What's up, guys? Welcome back to the next video on learning Laravel. My name is QDS Dani and you guys are watching my channel Coraiwood. Alright, so in this video we're going to start databases, and we're going to talk about ORM, or Object Relational Mapping, which Laravel uses, and we're going to talk about the active records, and we're going to talk about the most important subject, which is the migration. Before we start, make sure you guys go ahead and start your Laravel with PHP Artisan Serve. So once your Laravel starts, and you can see here, once it's up and running, we're going to come here and we're going to see our application. We have talked about the app, and you're going to see here we have talked about the HTTP controller middleware. We talked about the kernel, and if you look in here, it says model. We haven't talked about the models. So from now on we're going to talk about the models, because models related to the databases and models related to the migrations. All right, so if you notice here, we have in our controllers, and we normally use the plural here, users, but with our models, Laravel put a user here. So that's out of the box Laravel. If you check here inside the model folder, that's a convention that every PHP programmers they use. So with the model, you always put a singular. So because once you go inside the database, your model can be only one user, because it starts from you. Regardless of if it's one user, or maybe it's 10 user, or a million user, or a billion user, whatever the user, but it boils down to only one user here. Alright, so if you look in here, the Laravel has also Illuminate Foundation auth user. So because the Laravel uses singular for the model. So because we're going to start the model soon. So we're going to come down, and if you look in here, we're going to come down here to our database, and you look in here, we have factories, we have migrations, and we have a Cedar. And if you look in here, we have create users table. So when we click, if you look in here, we have a create users table. If you notice here, we have a lowercase with underscore create users table. So you look in here, we have camel case create users table, exactly the same wording. The reason a Laravel, when you want to create, for example, create products table, or create categories table, or create students table, whatever table, the Laravel is going to turn it like this. Inside the class, going to be the first one is going to be capital, and you look in here, it's like a camel case, and it extends migration, because it's inheritance in action in Laravel in PHP, because it goes there and extends the migration. If you look in here, the Laravel has something called migration here. So you're looking further down, we have a method here up, and you're looking further down, we have a method here down. Why would Laravel here they put a method up in the migration? Up means when you guys wants to create this database inside the MySQL. So did I mention MySQL? Yes, MySQL. So what we mean by MySQL? If you look in here inside your browser, and if you go there and say put a local host, and if you put a PHP my admin, the Laravel is gonna create the user here. So this is the MySQL or PHP my admin. Regardless of what MySQL you guys use, what version of the MySQL or MariaDB, the Laravel is gonna create the, for example, the tables there. The Laravel is not going to create the database. You have to create the database yourself, but the Laravel is going to create the table, and if you look in here, it's going to create the table ID, then it's going to put a string name and a string email, and the email has to be unique. Because if you think it's some of the websites, say for example, you go Android, and if Mr. Joe Blows come in with XYZ at Gmail, once XYZ at Gmail, then Mr. ABC is going to come in and can create the XYZ at Gmail. It's impossible, because then if this guy is going to be first, then the Gmail says, look, you can't create the XYZ. You guys create XYZ, say 1, 2, 3, our ABC, for example. You got to create, increase or decrease the characters. So and in that should be the case for with us too. When you create your website, make sure the users can, the two similar emails you're not going to allow, you're not going to make it to come to your website, because later on you might send a token to the email, and we might verify to see if the user is telling the truth. It's not a hacker or some sort of bot or something, because the bot nowadays is a big problem for the websites, because the bad guys there goes and creates bots. So the bot gonna come in with the weird say like this email. There's some characters of email, and it's gonna come, they're gonna put an at, and they put a gg.xyz, for example. This is a weird email. This email it doesn't exist. It was generated by the bot. So in order for the bot to come and pretend that they are human, they create some sort of email, because the email, first of all, it has an @ sign, and it has a dot here. It has to have dot, because all the emails is engines, they're gonna process this to, if your email, if you have an email, and if you don't have a @ and don't have a, say, dot, then it's not then the HTML thinks that this, our PHP thinks it's not an email. But the bots have figure it out, and they create some sort of similar like email, but it's not a real email. They're gonna come and register to your website, and then what? And then they can access your website with a password. So in order to combat that, Google, the guys at Google, they created something like this email to verify the email. So, and now it becomes a standard for all the website developers to come and to get rid of these bots. So when you go on Twitter, or when you go to say LinkedIn, or you go Google, wherever they go, they ask for your email, because the email, first of all, has to be unique, and later on they're not going to activate your account till you verify that email to prove that you're human, or you provide your phone number. So getting the phone number is another step of combating with the bots, because the bots don't have a phone number. They don't have a phone number, and the guys who creates the bots, they can generate thousands and thousands of phone number, especially when the Google are very serious, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, whatever website you mention, they're very serious, and they're going to send some sort of number to the website, to the phone number, and asking you to verify your phone number within, say, 20 seconds or 30 seconds. The bots can't do that, because the bots are just codes here behind. There's some Mr. XYZ Joe Blow sitting there with a destructive mind, or programming some sort of bots to go and destroy people's websites. It's not a very good, but that's the reality of nowadays. So you guys are, as a website owner or making website for people or companies, you guys make sure you guys put an email, and your email should be unique, and make sure you email verify that, and should be nullable, because when the users come and register, they're not going to verify the email straight away. Once you let the user is going to come and register, to not create inconvenience for the user, and then later on ask the user to, if user has verified the email, and make sure it's nullable, you can put it with the name as well. But I would highly recommend that you always put this one with this one. Don't put it with the name in email, because you need to address the username, and you need to verify the email, and don't put it with here. Otherwise, if you put it with any of these, then any bot can come and register at your site. So all of a sudden, in one day, you're gonna have like 50 bots gonna come and register, and getting rid of that 50 day. So now you multiply, in 2 days going to be 100, and in 3 days going to be 150. In 1 week it's going to be like 500, 600 bots going to come and register. Deleting 500 bots from your website is going to be, I think it's a hard job. It's going to drive you crazy. So in order for you to combat that, Laravel's shipped in with all of this cool stuff. So Laravel can ship in with create password resets to verify the token for the password resets, because not a lot of people remember their passwords, and create failed jobs, how many jobs and failed, and about the connection, about the queue, payload, exception, whatever failed, and the Laravel is gonna verify that this is out of the box. You don't have to do anything. So because the Laravel is MVC is out of the box framework, and it provides all the goodness to start your website straight away. Otherwise, if you do all this by yourself, and it's going to take you months to finish all this. But because Laravel's ready-made framework, it's a fast framework, and as soon as you're going to come in, open it, and that's it. It's like ready-made. And once you create PHP Artisan migrate, then it's going to go, all of this table is going to be created in your website soon. So when you come down, we're going to see here, we're going to see there is env, and that's sitting at the root of your folder. Why would Laravel put something like env here? The reason Laravel put an env, because this is the command and control center of the Laravel. This is the environmental variable of the Laravel, just like a Windows. So here it says it has an app name, and it has an app environment is local. When you go on a live, make sure you put your live, and make sure when you go on say live, don't put in app debug is true, put it false. This is your we already discussed about this app key. So you have a log, Laravel's that have putting a log inside the debug, and now you look in here, we have a DB connection. It says MySQL, DB host 127, port was 3306, database is Laravel, username and password. Why would Laravel put a username? Because most of the time the MySQL has a password. And just let you know, MySQL, Laravel not just supporting MySQL, but Laravel supports every other website like Postgre or SQL Server or SQLite. They support all sorts of the SQL, but the problem is that the thing is that MySQL is one of the most popular and one of the most widely used around the world. That's why Laravel by default goes with MySQL, because MySQL is very popular, because it has MariaDB's MySQL and Oracle's MySQL is also MySQL. There's so these two are one of the most popular MySQL's database around the world. So that's why Laravel by default supports this MySQL. If you look in here, we coming down, so that's going to be our discussion for the future videos about the Amazon Web Service access key, and there is going to be when we sending emails. And here we have broadcast, our cache driver. We're going to talk about in the future, but this is one of the most important subject inside the Laravel, because you guys need to understand how you guys going to create the database inside the MySQL, how you guys going to interact with your database. In order for you to interact with your database, you guys need to understand the database here, the migration. And we're going to talk about the seeders as well, and we're going to talk about the factories in the future videos. But now you guys need to understand this for create table here. So create users table, it means we're going to create a table. Okay, so if you go further down here, because we just visited the env, and you look in here, it says that by default Laravel uses MySQL. So when the Laravel uses MySQL, you're going to come here and check here. It says that config, app, auth, broadcasting, cache, and it's going to be databases here. So when you point on the database, you're going to come here. It says default env, that the Laravel is referring to this env, DB connection, MySQL. Why would the Laravel put a MySQL? Because MySQL is by default, as I said, by default Laravel goes with the MySQL. But if you look in here, the connections have also SQLite. It has a MySQL here, that's the second array here. It has a PGSQL or PostgreSQL, or it has a SQL Server or SQL SRV. So there are the 4 databases that Laravel supports. So if you're looking for the driver is MySQL, URL is database URL, host is DB host, and port database username password, and character set, collation, prefix. If you're looking here, but if you're looking for the older version of the Laravel, you would hardly see the prefix or strict or engine like this. So you want, but this, because this is a new version of the Laravel, you will see this one. Sometimes this is cause a problem the engine because you guys needs to put a inno engine or inno db, because that's at the moment our my ISAM was that was the old engine of the SQL MySQL, but at the moment MySQL uses something called inno db. So it's called inno and it's called db. So when your Laravel gives you guys problem, make sure you guys gonna put here the engine is InnoDB if you guys using the MySQL. As I said, if you guys using, but if you guys, you are more than welcome to use SQLite if you understand what you're doing. Just in case if you're using SQLite or you're using SQL SRV or SQL PGSQL, you make sure you guys go and change it inside in your config. Say when you go here, make sure you guys put it here. SQLite, and make sure you guys gonna put it here as well, because you should let the Laravel to go to now that you should tell the Laravel to go to where to go and make connection, because Laravel is looking for connection here. So if you guys putting SQLite, make sure you put SQLite or PGSQL, so the Laravel goes there and make connection, because this place is for connection. Laravel is waiting for your instruction to create some sort of connection. All right, so we talked about the briefly we talked about the ORM, our object relational mapping, and we also known as O/RM or O/R mapping. What's the ORM? ORM is a programming approach for converting data between incompatible type systems. So Laravel provides a lot of tools for interacting with the application's database, but the most notable one is Eloquent. 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 It's a Laravel's active record ORM, object relational mapper. So we put it ORM. It's a object relational mapper. If you guys heard or RDBMS, relational database management system, because that's a MySQL. MySQL is relational database management system, and you look in here, it says object relational mapper, because that's what Laravel's active record. And did I say active record? What's the active record? Active records PHPs and ORMs. Active record is for PHP to go and interact with the database. This is the simplest explanation I can give you. I'm not gonna go with in depth about the active record, because you guys are gonna be confused. Just think of this active record as a way of PHP as to interact with our databases. So what we do with the active record is like we do CRUD, like we create our delete our we create database or table, reads database or table, update database or table, and delete database or table. So we do CRUD, just like we have learned in our application in HTTP controllers, just like we learn here. Say for example, now it's a create. There is a methods for everything. For store, there is a method for show, we edit, and there is for update and destroy. This is called CRUD in programming. So Laravel is a CRUD. Active record is a way for PHP, our ORM, to go and interact with the databases to connect our data, our application to the database. So Eloquent, now we're going to talk about Eloquent, which Laravel uses, is one of Laravel's most popular, very popular and influential features. It's a great example of how Laravel is different from other PHP frameworks. In a world of data mapper, ORMs are very powerful. So ORM is very powerful, and at the same time it's very powerful and complex. So because Eloquent stand out for its simplicity. Why is so simple? Because in ORM, in Eloquent, there is one class per table. So if you have say user, you only have one class per one table. So now your class, once you create this class per table, now your class is responsible for retrieving, representing, and processing data in that table. As we said before, that ORM is a programming approach for converting data between incompatible type systems. Many frameworks provide their own database abstraction approach, or ORM. So I'm going to put a few of them. It's going to be, say, for example, it's going to be Aura, SQL, or another one's called Doctrine. So Doctrine was home to several PHP libraries, and their main goal primarily focused on database storage and object mapping. And the core of this Doctrine is Object Relational Mapper, or ORM. Another one's also the core is Database Abstraction Layer, or DBAL, which is inbuilt. So ORM and DBAL. And as we've seen, Eloquent is also one kind of ORM. And there's going to be Propel, then Proxy Manager, then Red Bean PHP, Safety, Spot ORM, and ZenDB. And ZenDB is also very popular. ZenDB. I don't want to confuse you at the moment with all this Doctrine and about the DBL, about the Aura SQL. I'm gonna remove this. All you guys need to remember about the Eloquent. Eloquent is a ORM that Laravel uses, and what is ORM is Object Relational Mapper, because it, as the name suggests, it's an object. And if you guys heard of the PDO, our PHP data objects, when we say data object, it means there is a class, and there is an instant. We use the instant, we create objects here. So now here with the object relational mapper, because all of the objects are relational, and it is called mapping. We can see as like a map. This is the simplest example I can give you. All right, so now we're gonna go and we're gonna use how we're gonna migrate our create tables here in Laravel. So if you look in here, as I said before, PHP my admin is a MySQL. Then we open this one. How I get this MySQL? I get MySQL is from here, from WAMP 64. If you're having a WAMP 64, you look in here, it should be signed as it should have a green color. It means your WAMP is running. If you have a problem with this, if you look in here, that's the W sits here, that color red, it means your WAMP is not running. So make sure you guys double click and run it. Or if you guys using a XAMPP, so when we're gonna go all the way here, there is something called XAMPP. If you guys install the XAMPP and looking for your local host, you guys access like localhost PHP my admin with your XAMPP control panel, and make sure you click the Apache, and make sure you also click the MySQL, because you have to click the two buttons, Apache and MySQL. So if you have a XAMPP, you're gonna come here in this screen, and you make sure you guys gonna put a password as a password. And once you guys done a password, make sure you guys gonna come here in your env and also put a password here. Make sure you put a root, and make sure you put a password. Don't change anything else, and now you can create the database. You can create the daily database you like. So we're gonna come back, and because I'm not using the XAMPP and I don't have a password, so what we do, if you're using XAMPP, if you're using WAMP, just put a root, and don't put any password, because we don't have any password. Now here you guys can create any table you like. So here we have Laravel. You can put a Laravel, for example, DB. Just add a DB, our first Laravel, our XYZ Laravel. Just put something that you guys remember. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to create the database with the same name here. I'm just going to name my database. As I said, you can put a ABC. When you put a ABC here, make sure you put a ABC here as well. So you can, Laravel can find your database to create a table. So I'm going to paste Laravel DB is going to be my database. As I said, Laravel is not going to come and create the database for you. Laravel is going to create with the migration only the tables here. They're not going to create the database. They're only going to create the tables inside the database. So when it comes to database, you go do it yourself. So Laravel DB is here, and we can make sure, if you look in here, all the wording is lowercase, because even though we put it uppercase, so inside here all of them is gonna, even though you put it uppercase, it's gonna come lowercase. So if you're guys wondering why your Laravel is not working, because you guys need here and check your database with the same name. Even though I put uppercase DB, it comes as a lowercase. So we're gonna come here and make some adjustment and make sure this is the problem that everyone do, and we put a DB here. I've seen a lot of people, they come in and put a, say for example, ABC, and then later on they're wondering why their database is not working, because if you put it here as ABC, all uppercase, the MySQL is gonna convert it to lowercase. Then a lot of people scratch their heads is why their website is not working. So we have a username is root Laravel DB, and it's MySQL. So we're gonna check if the same name Laravel DB, and we're gonna check here it's a Laravel DB. So it's a Laravel DB and Laravel DB, we all good to go. So now we're gonna create our first table. So now everything is ready, and as I said, you guys need to put just a few words. PHP artisan, we put a migrate. So if you come here, you guys have the option, as I said before, you guys gonna come and can press Control C to get out of this and restart this one again, or you guys have the option to go here and create your CMD or command. It's up to you. I'm not gonna say you should do this. I'm not gonna say you can do this. You guys can press a Control C to get out and create your database, restart this one, or you guys can come here and do that one manually. So if you put a CD, and we put a CD WEMP 64, if you have a XAMPP, you just put a XAMPP 64, then you put your database table. In the WEMP 64 is www, but in XAMPP is htdocs. Then you put a Laravel, and then now we are inside the Laravel, and now we've got a Laravel. So now we're gonna look first Laravel CD, first Laravel. So now if you look in here, we have WEMP64 www Laravel first Laravel. We are exactly in the same folder. All right, so what's going to happen next? What's going to happen is that next ones you're going to go to PHP artisan. We put a migrate. We put a PHP artisan migrate. That's all you guys need to do. And I'm gonna come with I'm gonna have an error, and I'm gonna show you guys if you guys face an error. So I'm gonna make it a little bit big to show you what sort of error I'll get. So I'm gonna put a enter, and if you guys look in here, it's waiting to put a migrate. And so if you look in here, when we put a PHP artisan migrate, it says migrating the users table, create users table. So it means Laravel has created the user table, and now it says that it's encountering a problem. It says SQL state 42000 syntax error, access violation 107.1 is specified, key was too long. Maximum key length is 1000 bytes. So there is SQL. I'm gonna, where is that? Disappeared. So 1000 bytes SQL alter table users, add unique users email users email unique email. Okay, so we're gonna see here that here we have a unique email, that if you look in here, the Laravel did not bother to create the other tables here, because if everything is good, that the Laravel is gonna come and says create password table, password reset password, then you're gonna create, we should have a 4 table inside our here. So if you guys press refresh inside the Laravel DB, if you go here, we only have a 2 table, only users. we have users, and you're going to see here ID, name, email verified, password, remember token, created or updated. Okay, but we don't have we have a migration. And if you look inside our migration, so we have like this one. So I'm going to show you. We have ID migration batch, that's it. So why we didn't have other tables? Like we had 4 tables. Why? Because we encountered a problem. What was the problem? The problem is here. And what was the problem? Problem here, it says that the maximum key for the email should be 1000 bytes, because here is 1071, so it means that we exceeded the amount. Okay, so what's the solution to this one? The solution, we have a solution. The solution is, the first one is that we're going to go here inside the env, make sure you guys close. Why we close this one? Because this one done the job, because now we can see our database here. It means that's done. It means that the Laravel has completed here the connected the thing and the connection, and now the migration works. So from this part, we don't want to do anything. We have nothing to do with this one, because this one's part is okay. So we're gonna close this one, and here I'm gonna close. Okay, so from here, this is pretty much fine, because this one's doing the job. Because here we're gonna see the migration in action. Because if you have say for example, see the message, there's a problem with the migration, then that's a different story. But the migration is working pretty much fine, because here the problem is here, because here the problem is here, and here the migration has created table, our first table, users table. So keeping that in mind, we're going to go here inside our database, and we need to go and do a few changes. So inside the database, in here, we need to, as I said before, where it says the engine, we need to specify what sort of engine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put here InnoDB, INNO, and we put a DB. So we put a DB uppercase. Why would we put a engine InnoDB? Because at the moment the default engine for MySQL is InnoDB, not MyISAM, because MyISAM used to be the old engine, and it has a few problems, and MySQL decided, and MariaDB and MySQL decided to create another engine. This engine is pretty much fast. It processes queries very fast, and it has tons of other benefits that you guys can take advantage of. So the engine is going to be InnoDB. Once the engine is done, you guys gonna press Control S, or you guys make sure you guys go and put a save all. Once the save all, you guys gonna close this database. Where is this database? This database here inside the config, inside the database. So you guys need to close this one. Okay, and another adjustment we guys gonna do is that we go to provider, and we go app provider, and we have seen this one before, where it says boot. So I'll repeat again. If you have a problem, you guys make sure you go config and change the database, and just put here InnoDB here. And once you guys done, close this one and save, close, and you guys go here. I'm gonna close this migration as well, and I'm gonna close this guys as well, and make sure you guys go on the app, then providers, app provider, where it says that boot, and then make sure you guys that was our first videos that we've done the testing the boot. Make sure you comment this one and put a schema, put a double colon, and we put a default string length. We put a default string length. Okay, so if you hover this one, you're gonna see here that's it says in vendor Laravel framework source illuminate database schema builder. So if you look in here, default screen length is already defined inside the Laravel. You guys don't need to do anything this, because this is already defined in Laravel. It's called class builder. So once we put it default string length, it means we are specifying, telling Laravel that look, from now on follow this string length. So here now we're gonna put a what we're gonna put inside. Our default one's gonna be 191. We're gonna put it here. So now we satisfied this guy here, the error, because it says 1071 because 1000 bytes, and was satisfied here with 191. It's more than that. So once you guys done that, make sure you guys save all. Once you guys save all, and we're gonna close this one, make sure this is here providers, and here we've changed this guy here. And don't forget to edit here as well. So here, if you guys don't see this schema, for example, if you guys look in top, I just edited before. So you guys, if you guys gonna come here and look in here, there is no schema. Anything you guys gonna put inside your Laravel, make sure you guys edit here, because we have a service provider here, we have edit here. So now if you hover this one schema, because you just edit, is inside Laravel Illuminate database schema builder. So Illuminate, we're gonna put here, sorry, we're gonna go here schema. So Illuminate, we're gonna go support. So we're gonna go Illuminate support facades schema. So we put Illuminate, we put use Illuminate, then we're gonna go on the support, then facades, and then we're gonna see if this is called Illuminate support facades, and then we're gonna go and hover Illuminate support facade, and then it's gonna be the last one is gonna be schema. So we put a schema. If you don't put this one, then you guys gonna get an error, because Laravel wants anything that you guys use. You guys, if you are using this one, make sure you declare, just like you go in countries, and if you're carrying something in your bag, you need to declare. You need to declare your name, your credential. If you go in countries, your paperwork, you need to declare what you have in your luggage. Laravel wants and PHP wants exactly the same. If you guys put a use Illuminate support facades and schema, and if you hover, you're going to see exactly the same. There is another short way if you guys gonna put it here. So if you come here and put a use and put a schema, and if you hover, you're gonna see this one. Then the Laravel is you're gonna have an idea how to put your just put one here. Say for example service provider. If you put it just by itself, if you forget, if you don't know which library, then you guys gonna put it here, hover, and Laravel tells you where it is. Very cool stuff in Laravel. So we're gonna see here, if you hover, you're gonna see that schema. So you're gonna go up. If you hover this one, you're not gonna see anything. Why? Because it doesn't have it's not connected to any library. So here, if you hover this one, you're gonna see the service provider, and make sure you use it. So if you hover this one, you're going to see here it's going to be also the service provider. So once you put in service provider, it means it covers all. Okay, once the schema is edit, Control S, and we're going to close it, and we're going to come and we're going to try again. So I'm going to go inside the Laravel DB, and I'm going to get rid of all of this. I'm going to drop. Why I'm dropping? Because by default, if you guys go here, and you guys can issue command PHP artisan, and you guys gonna put a rollback. So what the rollback does is gonna reverse whatever you guys gonna put it inside. So the first one, because by default that's the first time we are doing migrate, we are migrating this one. So if you put a rollback, if you control hit enter, so I'm gonna try again. We made a mistake here. We put a PHP artisan rollback. We have to put it PHP artisan migrate, PHP artisan migrate, and then you need to put a roll back. Hit enter. It says base table our view not found. It's migration doesn't exist. Why migration doesn't exist is because here we deleted the migration. we deleted the migration, that's one, it doesn't exist. So if you see this one, even if you have a migration, the Laravel is not going to roll back because it's already created. Once it's created, the Laravel is not going to do that. So the best thing is that you guys delete everything here manually. So once you guys delete everything manually, and I'm going to show you how the rollback works. Now it's clear that you don't have anything inside here, so we're going to try again, but make sure before that we're going to save everything, that all our here inside our database. Make sure Laravel understands this one, that we have changed this one, and we want to make sure that our app here is also here, the Laravel understood this one. So with these two, you guys need to go and change the cache of your application. So how we gonna change the cache of your application? So if you put a PHP artisan, and once you put a PHP artisan, you're gonna see a big list here. So if you put a PHP artisan, it doesn't work, there is an error, it means there is some problem with your code here. So once we come here inside the PHP artisan, and we're gonna go all the way up, we're gonna see here we have a cache clear, flushed application cache. It means whatever the application cache is, some sort of memory. It's a quick memory when you create the PHP framework. Say for example, if you're accessing Google and Google come inside your say here, Google creates a cache here. Google creates a cache, is a quick memory. So the next time you're going to come in, the Google is not going to take it from server, because the Google has already cache. The Google is going to load from the cache. Applications are going to create the cache. So we need to, in order, because we have made some changes here, because in our config, it's going to be the old memory is going to be there, because the old memory, what it says that engine was null. And now it says engine is going to be DB, so we need to clear the old memory from the computer's memory, from the computer's cache. So what we're going to do is that we're going to put a PHP artisan cache clear. So, and we're going to clear the config as well. So we're going to come down. Okay, so we're going to put a PHP artisan. We put a cache, our cache. Some people pronounce it as cache. We put it clear. So, and you hit enter, and it says the application cache cleared. And the next one, we're gonna clear the config. So we put a PHP artisan. We put a config, and we clear the config. And we press enter, and it says configuration cache cleared. So that's the reason I put it separated from here, because I don't want my application to stop or for any reason, because I'm going to forget if I run my application or not. I want my application to run flawless, so without any interruption. In here behind the scenes, I want to do the changes. I want to do all these adjustments here. So now we're going to try again to send everything here into our database. So if you refresh, if you look in here, we don't have anything inside the Laravel. We have manually deleted. So how we manually delete? For example, you go here and see, when you see drop, you just drop it, and your all the table is going to be deleted. So once this one, Laravel is going to check there is no table, it's going to create a table for you again. So we put a PHP, we put an artisan, we put a migrate. Just like PHP artisan serve, we put a PHP artisan and we put a migrate. And once you press enter, and we're going to wait, now it's going to create everything here for us. So it's created the users table, it creates the password reset table, it's created everything, created password, personal access token table, personal access token tables, and it took that much 607.61 millisecond, 631.06 milliseconds. It tells you the time too. So when you come here and you look in here, it's all here. So it has a failed job, it has a migration, and it's a users. There's a 4 table, 5 table. Why there is a 5? Because the one is reserved for the migration. Inside the migration, if you look in here, it says there is instruction to put this one, create a users table, create a passwords table, and create failed jobs table. If you look in here, there is a dates here. This is the first time the Laravel has put this ones here. That's the date which Laravel made adjustment inside the GitHub. GitHub is where the Laravel's all the team works here. So don't worry about these dates and everything. Don't worry about them because they're 2014, 2014, 2019. They are the dates that this one's created. This class has been created inside here. So we have nothing to do with the migration. We are not even need to look at the migration. All we concern is about here about the users. So we concern about the users because we're going to use the users table. So if you look in here, that's for the user. We have an ID, we have a name, email verified at, we have a password, remember token, created at, updated at. Okay, so if we come here and look at again, here we have seen a name, ID, and we have seen verified at, and it's a null label, password, and it has a remember token, and it has the timestamp. So we're going to look here, all of them, the remember tokens here, created at, updated at. But if you look in here, there is no created at and updated at here. We have all these ID, name, email verified, password, remember token. If you look in here, all of them here. Here remember token, but there is no remember token, but there is no created at and updated at. There is not these two guys not here, because here we have 8, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Why there is 8 there and 7 here? Because created at and updated at by default, these two guys underneath here by default is here in the timestamp. So when you go on a blueprint, you're going to look at here in this method timestamp. So once you guys declare the timestamp, it means you guys mean both of them. What time the database has been created, what time the user has created registration, and what time the user updated at. So when the user created it and what time the user updated it means when the user come in and put an update to his or her name or his or her credential, email, whatever, the password, whatever. And if you look in here with just a one timestamp, we cover both. How cool is this? Because as a beginner PHP programmers, you guys are going to be struggling with update add and create add, because both of them's timestamp, and you're going to see here both of them's null. If it means even if you put a null, that should be still okay. That's you guys can go ahead. Now we're going to see how we create, say for example we want to create a migrate table. For example, we just follow the same ones here. We're going to put a create, say for example products table. For example, we're going to come here and we're going to go ahead just like we create our controller, our model. We're going to create the PHP artisan. We put a make, and we are not going to put a controller as usually. We're going to put a migration, and what we want to put a migrate, we want to put a create products table. So we put a create product table. So looking here, we put a PHP artisan make, we put a migration, and we put a create products table. If you look in here, we are putting very clear to the Laravel that look, we want to create here users. We're going to create products table or post table or any other table. Just put here create any whatever that you want, XYZ table, and here you guys need to put a table, but make sure you guys put underscore here. So once we do it here and look in here, Laravel has created our table here. So now the time here is our own time. Looking here is 2023 as the recording of this year is 14th of January. So now it's not the Laravel's time. It's not a 2014 and 2019, because this is Laravel's own creation, and this is our own. Whenever you guys create something, if you look in here 2023, because we are at the recording of this video. The date is 14th of January 2023, and if you look in the Laravel has made as 2014. Don't be surprised if you see 2014, because the original this migrations done it this year. Laravel never changed it, never bothers to change it, because they don't need to change it, because it stays, it's running perfectly. And they look in here, these two came back 2019, and now we are creating this one. So through the migration, you guys can tell when the migration was created. And now you look in here, we have migration, and even though we put a lowercase here, we are the Laravel has put it with camel case here. You guys can add as much as you want. You guys can add anything you guys like. You can put a name, you can put a description, you can put an image, you can put whatever you want to put. So for example, we put a table, and we put a description. Say we put a name, for example, we put a string, and what we're gonna put up, we put a name, and we put a table. What else we want to put? We put a text, our we want to put a, for example, integer, or we put a text, because we want a product description. All right, so now we add it to, you guys can put a, for example, int price, for example, table, and what we're gonna put up, we put int, our we put integer, and what we're gonna put inside the integer, and we're gonna put a price. So here we have added Laravel has added ID. We put a string name, and we put a string text description. We put a integer price, and here the Laravel put a timestamp. So the ID, Laravel has already included the ID and a timestamp. The timestamp is for created at and updated at. Okay, so now we have another table that waiting to go to our table, the migration to this guy is here. So now you guys should tell me what should I put here. So what I put exactly the same ones here, because these tables are this ones is ready to go. The Laravel is not going to redo these ones again. Keep in mind, Laravel is not going to touch these ones again. Why? Because Laravel's already done this. Once the Laravel done it, there's not going to touch this again. So even though we put a PHP artisan migrate, so we put a PHP artisan, we put a migrate. Once we do that, it means that our table is going to be created here. So if I come here and I refresh, and I'm going to see here my products here already ready. So that's exactly what I put it here. I put an ID, I put a name, description, I put a price, created and updated that. Okay, so how did I say about the rollback? Yes, I did. I was mentioning the rollback. How to roll back here? I mentioned, say for example, I said PHP migrate, and we put a colon and we put a rollback. So we put a PHP artisan migrate, and we put a rollback. Why we even put a rollback? PHP migrate rollback, just in case if you guys making mistake. So Laravel has a way, say PHP, if you guys making mistake, it's just like undo, and PHP is gonna say, look, I'm gonna roll back this product table. You can do whatever you want, and you can migrate it back. So once we hit that, and it's gonna delete this table from the here. So it means roll back, and if you guys go ahead and refresh, you're not going to see the product table anymore. So you see all the tables, users and every other table, but not the product table. Why? Because Laravel has rolled it back. It's not going to be there. This one works exactly the same as drop. If exists, it's going to drop the table completely. So when you're going to put a drop down, it means it's going to drop it. Later on, when we get advanced, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to use up as well. Up, it means when you have, for example, you want to do some changes here, we can put up, and down we can put it down. But now you guys need to understand the rollback, and here that's a rollback. So I'm gonna, for example, gonna put a price, or I'm gonna put something else. For example, I have put a name. I have put a text description. I have put a price, and I'm gonna put something else. Say for example, I'm gonna put a table, and I'm gonna put an integer, and I'm gonna put a special price. For example, special price, our clearance price. So we're gonna put a special price, our any other price, and I'm gonna put this one later on. So I'm gonna put it here, and I'm gonna migrate. For example, now if I put a PHP artisan, if I'm ready, I'm gonna do migrate, and my table is gonna be created here. So if I refresh, and I'm gonna see my products table here. So the products table ready again. So what if I wanna add, for example, something? If I wanna add, for example, if I wanna add here, for example, in my migration here, if I wanna add this integer, the only option I have is to roll back. Then why if I keep rolling back, it's gonna be big headache for me. So how I'm gonna add, say for example here, say for example if I want to add this special price now, so how I'm gonna put a special price in my table, for example. So if I go here, and if I put a roll back, it's gonna roll the whole things back. What if I have a data here, for example? What if this table has lots of data inside, and just to add one is gonna be big headache for me. So if I try to roll back, is not going to be an option, because my tables at the moment at this point of time, because I have a lot of customers, and the customers put prices, they're going to be, say for example, heaps of customers. But the problem is that if you have a data, there is another command called fresh. So we put a PHP artisan migration. We put a PHP artisan, we put a migrate, and we put a fresh. So when you put a fresh, look at here, it restarted the table. It restarted everything here from the root up all the way, because I put a fresh here. What if you have a data here, for example? So I'm going to tell you, once you put a fresh, it means everything is going to go. Everything is going to go, and it's going to be filtered, and the whole is going to wipe out the whole data when you put a fresh, because it's still going to start from the fresh. It uses everything here. So we're going to see here that we don't have a data. For example, if you're going to have a, for example, now we're going to add some data. So we're going to go insert, and for example, we put a ID is product number 1, and name is going to be, say for example, TV, and we put a special excellent TV, for example, TV, and we put a price. For example, we put a $1,000, and special price we're gonna put 800. So it's up to you guys. Want to leave it here? If you want to leave it null or not null, it's up to you. So if you don't want to leave it, if you want to add something, you can by all means. Say you can add any date, for example. Say for example you can add 14, you can add 14th, or you can add 15th. It's up to you. You want to add, or you want to add this one. Say for example you can add 15th, for example. Okay, so our we can create another one. For example, we put a 2, and we put a best. For example, we put a sound system. You can add whatever you like, and here now number 2, best sound system. If we put a stereo sound, Sony, for example, Sony company. That's the description, and for the price we're gonna put for example 1200, and we put a special price is for example $1,000. You want to put it up to you, you don't want to put it up to you. So we're gonna go, and now we have 2 data in our products. So now our products have a TV and sound system. So we have a two. The first one have created and updated it. This one's null. Okay, so what happens if we come and do fresh, for example, and I'm going to show you now. If you do this again, it's going to recreate, refresh everything. Okay, so we're going to come and fresh, and we're going to come, and the whole thing's gone. The whole thing's gone. If you're because at the moment, because we are learning, we don't have anything, it's just open field. If you have a customers, if you're going to be like Amazon or Alibaba, or you're going to be a big, just not even a multi-billion-dollar company, but just a small company. If you have say 1 million customers, or if you have say even 100 customers, if you do this, your company is going to shut. And I mean it. I mean your company is going to be closed. Your company is going to be permanently closed or shut. Why your company is going to be shut? Because you wipe out the whole data. You cannot wipe out the whole data, customers' data. So now you don't know who your customers is. You don't know how many products you have in your stock. You don't know how many products you sold. You don't know anything. And if you do it for a customer, then I guarantee they're going to kick you out straight away from the company if they find out that you wipe out the whole data. Because that's a hacker's job, to come and destroy people's say databases. But that's not a programmer's job or developer's job to do this. It means Laravel, this one started straight away with just a fresh. We have wipe out the whole database just like before. So once you put it fresh, it means it's going to wipe out the whole thing, the whole database. It's not a good option. It's not a very good. So we learned PHP Artisan migrate, and we have learned PHP Artisan migrate rollback. We have learned PHP Artisan migrate, then we put a fresh to start from the fresh. And I have shown you how dangerous it is to go and press this one fresh, because you're going to wipe out the whole data. And we have also learned how to create the products tables or categories table. Say now if you want to create another one, create PHP Artisan make, put a migration, and put a create. You can put it here, categories table, for example. We put a categories table. So once you put a categories table and you press enter, and your table has been created. So now create categories table. So now you guys know already. So we put a create ID. So if you put a table, and we put a here, and you guys need to put a string. What are you going to put inside the string? Category name. Category name. And here if you put a table, and if you put a text, for example, we can put a category description. Put a description. You can put a slug. You can put anything you guys like. So here now we created our table, categories table, and you're looking here how Laravel put it here for us. So we're going to come here and say, for example, we put a PHP Artisan migrate, just a 3 words, PHP Artisan migrate. And once you migrate, it's going to be in our database. So because the PHP already migrated, and once you kind of come here and hit the refresh button, and you're going to see the categories here. So looking here, our categories table is ready. How cool is this? Now through these categories, we can create the best e-commerce job for our customers. So now we are very confident that we're going to create lots of cool databases, and we're going to create a lot of cool tables for our customers and for our own websites. So we know how to, now the migration works. We know now how to rectify the error, debug the problem, which the problem, if you have with the provider, make sure you guys go ahead and put your schema and put a default string length, and make sure you guys go in your database and make sure you guys go here inside your config and inside the database, and make sure you specify if you are using the InnoDB engine. So that's a default engine for MySQL. So make sure you guys go here and flush your cache, flush your database, flush your config, and flush your cache to get rid of the old configuration and the old memory, and you start fresh. So we'll have learned about the database, we have learned about the migration. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Wood. If you guys have any question or comment, leave it in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you till next video, and bye.